Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Father of a Stolen Child, 10th Man, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, all. Okay,
Right.
good morning, one person.
Good morning, nobody. Absolutely nobody responded from Discord.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Stagoli and FEEG. Hello, Father of a Stolen Child also.
The excitement is there today. I can feel it.
Oh, it's bristling. It's absolutely bristling. Tenterhooks, my friend. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No evidence. There's a geometric limitation of the sphere. The horizon can be no further than 1.22 miles, 1 foot observer height. And it's not there, Nathan.
There's a video being released tonight that is called Proof Earth is Flat, the Sextant. And it describes the triangulation method to acquire what is known as a fix, or a position on the ground with dweller top with 3 circles of equal altitude. So check that out. Proof we're on a flat plane. The way stars are used to position yourself on the flat plane, we dweller top, could only work on a flat plane. Detailed beautifully by 10th Man. That's trimmed out and it'll come out at 9:15 UK time, or 20:45 UK time. So check it out, Be Here or Be Sphere. That's on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel just before the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show comes out on the second channel, which is brand new, although I did actually trim another part of that, which has already been released on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. So check that out. Not now, because you're watching the live show, but that's already been released. It was released at about 7 o'clock this morning, so you can check that out as well. Just let Adam in and then we'll go to axial rotation. Hello, Adam.
Afternoon, guys. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Engrossed with a bit of chat on Arwin's there. He's had a good show this afternoon. So sorry about that.
Sod's law. I've missed it a couple of days in a row and it's been good both times. Hey ho, subscribe today to Arwin. I'm missing the Flat Earth early bird because of classes with kids and stuff, but such is life. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, you would need R to have that. And just because the sun is moving 15 degrees an hour, what makes them think it's the Earth?
I heard Germany was spinning last night.
Oh, yeah. 2-0.
Okay. I have little to no desire to know what you're talking about. Any evidence of the distance?
No, I won't elaborate.
Excellent. Don't. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there. It's a light in the sky. That's it.
Seriously, low enthusiasm levels from Discord today. Wow.
There must be
There's
Germans.
no way to even know what it is there?
The sun? No, I don't know what it is. Sorry. Okay, moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Well, back to no radius, no Earth curvature, no orbits, none of all this stuff. So now they got to drag us down to the center of something that's not the center of something.
All P waves and F waves, right?
They got it wrong. Made predictions, coal a deep borehole, and then they got it wrong based on their P wave and S wave predictions. What they thought they'd drill through, they didn't drill through. And that's the sound of 10th man's mic open. Every time his mic's open while I'm talking, I hear. There it is again.
I agree with that. Just go on mute.
I'm as still as it can be. I can't believe you're hearing anything.
You sound like me 4 months ago, 10.
Anyway.
Just go on mute.
Anyway. Any evidence of the R value? That's Earth radius.
That would be a negative.
Nope.
Can you have a ball without a radius?
No.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, we're not on a ball. They need a radius. They haven't got one. We've debunked it. That's correct.
I think we did more than debunk. We are actually destroying it.
Yeah. Any evidence scientific thereof gravity? Any scientific evidence of gravity, I should say?
Nope. Only maths.
What is gravity?
Which one?
Hello.
Exactly.
Hey, Arwin. Well, there's two. There's mass attracting mass, falsely ascribed to Newton, more accurately described as Reverend John Michel C.V. Boy's Cavendish gravity, which is 106 years out of date, superseded by the notion that the uneven distribution of mass causes the bending of space-time.
Space-time, hey?
Yeah, space-time.
I'd like to see that.
You don't. It's just a mathematical concept. About any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics. These are your priests, globe believers.
Just observation and declaration.
Observe and declare only, eh? Bummer.
Yeah,
But unless
apparently.
they find some way to manipulate the celestial phenomenon, you know,
How would they do that, Owen?
then they might engage. I don't know. That's why I said if if they find out some way to do it.
You'd have to
Would be
get to that
pretty
cool.
firmament
Even
of
if-
yours first, Neil.
Hold on, just one
Well,
second.
maybe they could just shine a laser inside of the firmament or something. Or
Firmament?
Inside of the firmament.
What firmament?
Yeah. Where you
What's
going with that? Firmament that speaks
Sounds like a
about in
claim.
the Bible that gives us air that we can breathe. You see, because if we didn't have this firmament over us, Nathan, we would not have any gas pressure. All the air we have would shut off into space. So we have a firmament.
We have containment.
We have a firmament, which is the containment.
Says you. You can call it
we have
whatever you
firm
like.
containment.
Yeah, the containment.
Oh, hold on. Not wait. Not says me.
We have confirmation.
Okay, but I never said that. I never got there, but the Bible declares it.
No. The Bible declares two things, doesn't it? Really, but it doesn't necessarily link the two, does it? What we're claiming, we're making an assumption that the statement in the Bible, where the stars and the sun and moon are set, this firmament. We assume.
Wait, how is that an
Well,
assumption?
let me finish. Well, I'm about to tell you. Yeah, we assume that statement. We then take that as our containment. Doesn't necessarily state that is how the containment of the gas is. It's a statement with regards to what the sun, moon, and stars are placed in. We make an assumption that that would service that role for gas pressure, but I don't think it's stated in the Bible that that's the thing that definitely stops a violation of natural law.
And neither does God explain how he took the dust of the earth and made man, Adam.
Yeah, let's not turn this into.
So it's a little egotistical of us then to make that assumption so positively. Take the things that are stated positively and hold them true, but don't necessarily follow logic for you to interpret.
How else are we breathing? So you're going to give ballers an entrance to get in. Just
No,
a little entrance to get in.
no.
That gas can be contained some other way.
No.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm saying that it's not explicitly clear in the Bible that the firmament is the causation of containment of gas pressure. It's stated in the Bible that the firmament is there, yeah, and in which we sit the stars and the sun and the moon. It's logical to draw that conclusion that it would draw that dual purpose, but I don't think the Bible makes that clear distinction.
Perfect. It's a logical inference you can draw and then use it to parallel what the Bible states, and that's perfectly acceptable. But when you remove the first and just use the second, i.e., well, the Bible states it, then that's not going to stack up. And when you describe something as something else, because it's a form of containment, it is the firmament. Quick shout out to Godzilla37 who says text message with a winky face and sends me money. Thank you very much, Godzilla. Really appreciate the support.
Okay, I got a vision of God breathing life into Adam. And Adam is a container, and he's breathing, okay? Until God breathed into him, he could not become alive, right? He wasn't a living soul yet. So that firmament is sort of like, it's like a big atom, you know? And that's how we're breathing.
What?
Yeah, Neil, you took that the wrong way. You should have said, so you're implying that there's another physical container between the physical container mentioned in the Bible.
Well, that's what I said, because if you're saying that the firmament is not containing the gas pressure, then you're leaving a door for them to come in and say, hey, gas can be contained another way.
No, you're not. You're assuming that the first statement that you leave out when you refer to the Bible suddenly negates their necessity for containment, regardless of what the containment may be. If you look on screen of this preposterous picture of a molten iron core in a sky vacuum, the black area is a vacuum, the clouds are high-pressure gas. It's absolutely absurd. Well, you need containment, because we've got gas pressure. But that's the end of the statement. In terms of, well, the container's a firmament. What's a firmament? Well, it's this, that, and the other. Because the Bible says so. Everything in terms of description of what a firmament's going to be and how it is going to come from the Bible and not come from verification that you've acquired in physical reality. Sorry.
Because no one could get
the Bible,
there to tell
the Bible
you what it is,
also
but the
says it's an
Creator
expanse,
himself.
and I believe it, and I believe it's a flat top. So yeah, you can't say the Bible proves the dome because you don't know what shape it is.
Okay, hold on a second. The only one that can say what it is God, and he said it. None of us could get there, so we can't tell you what it is. But use your head.
Yeah,
But he said it was an expanse. An expanse is a spread out piece.
When you say use your head, you mean apply logical inference. Yeah, we can all do that.
Okay, let's deal with Eli. How can it be flat? A flat top. What do you got on your sides?
Because it's an expanse. If the heavens that we look up to are also the floors in heaven paved in gold, then what are you walking on?
Where did you get that word expanse? Break that down for me.
I got it from the Bible somewhere. Don't know exactly where, but I can get it to you some point in time later.
Rakia.
Yeah, Neil, why does there have to be in your mind a touchdown point? Look, if there is no possibility, can I finish? Can I finish? If there is no possibility for this flat, presumed in this case, container thing to actually physically move down, which would compress the gas pressure within the realm, right? If it doesn't have such maneuvering capability, then why would it have to touch down anywhere in order to stay up? that would already be kind of assuming that there is more space beyond in order to create that dynamic.
I was just saying, don't use scripture to back up your logical inference. It is logically correct that it would fill that role, but you can't use the scripture to say that the firmament contains gas pressure. It's not explicitly stated. You can only logically infer it, which doesn't mean that that's the case.
Correct.
That leaves an opening for them to say
It
gravity.
doesn't leave an opening. It stops you setting yourself up for a fall by making a claim that you can't actually back up. You can only logically infer.
Spot on. Can we not have it for a third time that it's leaving an opening for globers? It isn't.
No, it's not just for globers.
And
It's
if I
leaving
could
an
just
opening for
respond to
everybody.
Arlen,
Excuse me.
Hold on, let Neil finish then. Go ahead, Eli. Go on, Neil. Go ahead, Eli.
I said,
Oh.
I got a delay, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Eli. You want to respond to Arwin?
What did you say about the container not touching down? Or is that what you say?
Yeah, like an upside
That's what
down.
I said, yes.
Yeah, like an upside down pudding bowl.
But an upside down pudding bowl touches down, doesn't it?
That's what he's saying.
No,
What
I
is-
said,
what is he
why
saying?
would it
That it's
have to
not
touch
doing
down?
that? Right. What you're saying? Why would it have to be enclosed?
No, why would it have to touch down?
He's got you there, Arwin. Repeat your question, Eli.
Why does it have to be enclosed?
Because there needs to be a limit for the volume. That's why.
So it'd have to
No,
touch down then.
How do you limit
No,
the
it
volume
wouldn't.
without it touching down?
It would be looping in on itself.
Oh no, come
Here we
on.
go.
Don't descend this into farce. Just concede, Arwin. He's
It's
got you
not
there.
farce. Don't say that. Never say that.
Okay,
It's
I
not
take it
farce
back.
when I say
Stop.
that.
Stop.
It's called
Then-
cosmogony.
Stop. Let's not turn this into something it isn't. I take it back. However, in terms of logical inference, I can't logically infer looping. I'm sure you'll agree. However, in terms of his logical inference, in terms of the physical containment, the restraint to gas escaping underneath into a different area, it kind of has to touch down. I think he's got you there. Why can't you concede?
No, it doesn't. It would only have to touch down if there was some kind of mechanical risk of it pressing down because of some relative density aspect and compacting the pressure inside, right? That would be the design risk in our
How is there
minds. Why
pressure
there
in
would
there?
kind of finish, why there would have to be touchdown pillars to prevent that, like a table, right?
Sure.
But if there is no
hold on.
such
Stop a
risk
second.
because there's no space beyond,
Yes,
then
I
there
got it.
wouldn't have to be a touchdown table.
Sorry, but you're saying there wouldn't be any space beyond, and you're worrying about the mechanics or engineering of whatever the container may be. And what I think Eli's saying is, regardless of what the mechanics or the engineering of the container may be, it's got to be sealed. It's got to be contained. And, beyond you saying so far looping, and then moving on to the mechanics of how the container would actually be formed or structured, that's not his point. It's got to be contained. That's his point. Because of the gas, it would escape, right? If there was gaps underneath, if it was on pillars like a tabletop, well, then it wouldn't be sealed. It wouldn't be a container anymore. For gas. There's a moment of pause
makes no
because I think
sense.
there's a few people on
It
the
could
panel.
if there's a looping element. It's very
There's a few-
simple.
Before
And you
we
can
move on
think
to
that
looping,
particle and all that, you can think that.
Please. So in reality, we could discuss looping at this very poignant moment. However, I'm going to focus more on the fact that a few of us, I assumed the prolonged pause was because we're going, hang on a second. We're saying no dome, no upside down pudding bowl. We don't know what the container is. But by logical inference, it's got to touch down, as it's been phrased. I don't see any way around that unless someone's going to correct me beyond looping.
Well, yeah, go find it then. Go find that touchdown point. If it has to touch down, we'll confirm it. Right? Just like no. I'd like to draw the comparison to the
It's just because,
celestials, right?
Arwin,
If
hello?
you assume there has to be some kind of a physical nature to the celestials,
No,
well,
you
go
did.
prove it then.
Stop. That's what you did. No, you started focusing on the engineering. I don't know what the container is. Don't strawman me. You immediately started to focus on what the mechanics and engineering of the containment must be. Now, I don't know what they are. or what it is. However, Eli's point still stands. It's directly related to, it's not even off on a tangent from, the fact that it must be a container. Well, to achieve that, right, there's got to be a point where it seals, right? I can't see any way. No one's correcting this, right? No one's stepping in other than Arwin. Anyone got anything else on this? Because I don't see anywhere around this.
All right. I agree. But looping is sealed.
Just
Just for the record.
Please, just let someone else have a go. If there's any objection, I want to hear it. Other than that, it's just deep contemplation of the fact that, hang on a second, when we say no, pudding bowl upside down, no, we don't know what it is, that still stands, but it still must be in a sealed container. So therefore, you can make the logical inference that there's going to be a point, an edge, where one meets the other, if you will. How else could it function as a container?
How could you demonstrate a container without walls?
We
We'll go
as far
find
as
the
our
walls,
physics
then.
is concerned, we can't. That's what a container is.
Man-made containers.
Or any container. You don't have to necessarily have a man-made container for it to contain gas pressure.
Really? Well, if you find a
Demonstrate
container
otherwise.
that's not man-made and you figure out it's a container, then it's gonna not longer be a sealed container anymore, I think, in nature. So
But yeah, you might let the gas out of a previously sealed natural container and just go, oh, I've let the gas out now. But what does that mean? It doesn't exist in nature prior to you smashing it open and letting the gas out, whatever it may be.
Bubbles.
Yeah, bubbles. There you go. Anyway.
So before go find the container.
that's a liquid
Yeah,
container
I
wall.
think you should go find the looping.
Well, yeah, beyond us. Okay, let's just segue away from Arwin's looping so he doesn't get the butt of this. There's people out there that think there's an infinite plane, right? It could just go on forever.
No.
No, there is
Physically
people out there.
impossible.
Don't say no. Yes, there is people who believe that.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, that presents a bit of a problem for the gas pressure we're breathing also, doesn't it?
Indeed. Infinite volume for gas pressure is going to mean potentially infinite problems with turbulence. That's right.
Well, it would all be, if you assume that there's no vegetation and no life beyond what we know, and it just gets more and more desolate, which is also supposed, whether or not it goes on infinitely or otherwise, I don't know. But that would still create massive problems with the gas pressure, which is pretty stable. We have cycles because we have a very stable system. Yes, it's dynamic. No, it's not in perfect equilibrium because it is dynamic. But that said, it's still beautifully balanced while it is dynamic. Well, that I don't think would be the case if there was just a never-ending expanse. I don't see how that could function either. Quick shout out to Retro Bill, who says, falling apples, transit of Venus, pressure gradient, gyroscopes, ham radios, seismology, and black holes. Take that, flat Earth! Okay. Thanks for the super
Good
chat.
one.
Can I make a comment about the infinite plane? Infinity in reality cannot exist because you can't have an infinite something. But you can have, I don't know how to explain this, but there has to be a limit to reality.
Everything is
And
finite.
you can't have input. So infinite plane is incoherent.
Right.
Go ahead.
I see what you're saying.
You
It's a
cannot
mathematical
believe in
concept.
infinity. That means that how you can believe in something you cannot never reach, and you don't know where is that something never end.
How does something that's infinite even start?
Well, it's a mathematical concept, isn't it? So yeah, to apply that is a reification.
So, well, even in mathematics, it becomes absurdity. If you take away, all the even numbers and all the odd numbers, and they're all infinite. If I remove all the odd numbers from the set, you still have an infinite number. So even within mathematics, it's absurd.
Just like the zero or nothing. Can nothing
There's only
exist?
one.
Look, guys, we're getting smashed from chat here. Godzilla37 says, look, Superman, Star Trek, Star Wars, take that, Flat Earth. Right on.
Shut it down, Nathan. Shut down the show.
Okay, that's what I was
We got
thinking.
it.
Not had a
Pack it up,
beating like
boys.
this for weeks, have we?
That's it. Pack it up. It's all over. Thanks
Pack
for
it
the
up.
super
It's
chat.
the last episode, guys. Wrap it up.
The last episode. Holy shit.
Okay, so
I think the point, Nathan, infinity is the thing that needs to be. That is it's a concept. It doesn't even exist in mathematics. It's only expressed as a conceptual new number. It doesn't exist. It is totally conceptual, even in the maths. We invent new rules, new mathematical rules when we deal with infinity.
Sure. And plus, I'm not knocking on people who think that when they describe it as an infinite plane, it's not necessarily directly translating into the concept of infinite anything. I'm sure they've got a more expansive way of describing it. It could go on for a very, very long time. But that doesn't change the original origin of why we're discussing this, right? Which is Eli's point. Or who is it that said the words touchdown first? Was it Arwin?
Can I just quickly...
I think so, yeah. That was me.
Quickly relate it to yesterday's chocolates, the maths we did yesterday. And the example I'd give is if chocolate's got infinite pencils and he gives 2 away, he's still got infinite pencils. He hasn't got infinity minus 2.
Yeah, that checks out.
That gives me a headache.
Yeah, because it's just nonsense. That's the point. The concept of infinity isn't based in reality.
Yeah.
Like the geometric horizon or the R value. Go on, Rags. Or was it Paul?
Yeah, it was Paul.
Sounded like Sasha.
Just question.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
I mean, I pretty much done. I made my point. So you can't have an infinite. That's just my point. Is there more that you wanted me to tease out?
Yeah.
Can I give one example in that?
Go on, Sasha.
It's not about maybe infinity, but it's somehow about reality. Let's say that you are 1 meter from the wall. If you if you make it a halfway every time, in reality you will touch the wall. Now you're on a half meter. Now you're on 0.25. In reality you will touch the wall. In a math you will never ever touch the wall.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. Like you could see something a million miles away in that.
I've seen these on YouTube too. These examples of the absurdity of infinite. Making measurements and making divisions over and over again, and never getting any closer. Yeah, those are all great examples. But the reason we're discussing this is I want to bit back to it. Although Arwin started it in the negative by saying there's no reason why it would have to touch down, and then Eli pointed out we're talking about containment, then it's got to be containment. So therefore, when you talk about having an infinite amount of land, that doesn't stack up. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a massive expanse. We just don't know.
Absolutely. It can be very big, but there has to be a limit to the total amount of volume in some way. There cannot be unlimited volume.
Perfect.
There might be, in a very specific dimension, potentially infinite space. But that's still going to be within the context of the available volume, and it would include a looping factor.
No, why do you have to ruin it?
Why would you come to that?
There's got to be a volume, right? And that volume is finite, not infinite. So if you've got a finite amount of volume, you've got a finite amount of, let's put it as it is, space. So the reason I'm dwelling on this so much is because this is what it boils down to. How much space do we have? Well, we know it's not infinite in terms of the ever-expanding universe, and even if they put a limit on it in terms of what they say we can see with the cosmic microwave background radiation, their ascribed values based on our values are absurd to begin with, but nevertheless those are still very big numbers that they're talking about. Now, it could be very much the opposite of that in terms of just how finite it is. It could be very finite. There could be a very limited amount of volume. We do not know just how little space we actually have. So when it comes to us normally talking about space, it's the eradication of the idea of a sky vacuum. Absurd. But then it does leave you with the question of, well, how much space do we have then?
Yeah,
Well, then,
that's the big
I'm
question,
gonna.
isn't it? The orientation of it all. And hey, I just want to know if you could walk in a straight line for an eternity, yet still remain within the same volume. What's going on?
Are you trying to get onto looping again?
Because I don't think you're walking in a straight line. I mean, because what?
Don't
Why are
take the
you
bait.
saying
Don't
it
take the
has
bait.
to?
It's Arwen suckering
You
you
wouldn't
in.
know.
Go on, save
You
it.
wouldn't know.
How is something? I'm just trying to understand. Like, like if the ground is the plane, right? Then how would the containment be looping? Like the only way I could see it looping is something like a cylindrical shape, like something. Then the wall itself could be wrapped around, but it would still touch down on Earth, and the top would be somewhere up there somewhere.
Or it would be looping in another direction as well.
How? How?
Well, how is it looping in one direction?
What I'm saying is how does it touch the ground?
Look, Eli, didn't you hear
then
what he said?
from there? Okay, go ahead.
Eli, I think that's very unreasonable. Arwen immediately but reversed the burden of proof and demanded that you explain how it would be looping in the first direction. Have you done that yet?
Yes, you walk an infinite straight line. You got a physical gyroscope with you spinning forever, and it keeps its exact orientation at all time. And you keep walking that straight line your entire life, yet you remain within the same volume. That's how you know.
You know in The Matrix when he's in the downstairs station and he's with the old, presumed to be old architect from a former Matrix called the Train Man. And in that station, I've forgotten what it's called, he runs to the end of the platform, keeps running, and then he just starts at the beginning of the platform. Now, from his vantage point, he's just running a straight line, right? But he's looped back.
That's right.
Yeah, in The Matrix, it's all right.
Yeah. Let's try it out with the equator. Let's try it out with the equator then.
I have a question to Erwin. What is the physics that we know about that governs the world that you're describing? Can you give me the natural law, the physics? What is it that governs this?
Yeah, right. Give us the physics.
There is no laws established for spatiality. Right? Let's confirm it's true first. Let's confirm there is an element to actually have suspicion that there is a looping factor.
I agree with Arwen. Hold on, Adam. I agree. You are going to confirm this first, aren't you, Paul? I think you should confirm this first, like Arwen demanded of Eli a moment ago.
I have to confirm this?
Yeah.
I have to go out and confirm that this is reality? I thought it's Erwin's.
I mean, of course, because you're not the one claiming
it.
it.
Should
So
be up to
of course
him to
makes
confirm
sense.
it?
If you're going to argue with this, Paul, you've got to prove it right first before Arwen can prove it wrong alongside you.
What?
Yep.
Prove what wrong?
Sounds like the burden of proof reversal fallacy there to me.
Prove what wrong? We're not going to be proving it right first then.
I'm confused now. What are we talking about?
Let's just see. You're right, Arwen. We should start at the beginning. Prove looping. Physically. Physicality. What's the physics for it?
Spatial nonlinearity.
What does that mean?
How that works.
What does that mean?
Well, you can only do it conceptually until there is some kind of physical confirmation for it. And I already know how to do that, how you would establish spatial nonlinearity.
So Arwen's just giving the disclaimer that this is only conceptual. Now he's going to waffle on indefinitely.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was only asked how to do it, and I just answered. I'm sorry. I'm waffling on indefinitely.
How'd you do it again?
Just to clarify,
like
right?
was now, Arwen.
Look, Arwen likes to cause disturbance when... Look, let me just clear what's happened, right? Arwen knows how to play baller. He also knows how to do all the tricks of obfuscation and rumpus causing when there's some disclaimer that he's just dropped in that he doesn't want focusing on. Conceptual only, right? That's why I told him not to do it about 4 times when I would rather dwell on the point that there's got to be containment. So how much are we contained is an interesting discussion point. Instead, it's segued onto Arwen's conceptual only looping. Thank you, Arwen. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, but you all of you keep asking questions about it. So yeah, I'm sorry that I'm answering your questions.
We just want you to concede it's just totally conceptual and there's no way of ever demonstrating it.
But there is a way of demonstrating it. it requires certain specific steps to get to that point, if it were true. Oh, laugh it up, Fundy. Laugh it up for that which you don't know. Laugh it up.
Fundy.
Laugh it up, Nathan. You don't know. I have figured out a way to find out. Yeah? Laugh it up.
Tell us that.
Man, write a
You
book.
follow the
Why not
equator.
here?
You establish whether the virtual equator, derived from celestial. I'm not suggesting
Yeah.
suggesting
Brilliant.
North is all.
Here.
You derive
Right.
whether
Everyone else,
you're
everyone
walking
else.
that
Let Arwin
straight
get it out.
line,
Everyone,
or
hello,
if it's not
hello,
a straight line,
including you, Arwin.
or you
Hello,
just interrupt me as I
Arwin.
explain it.
Arwin,
Arwin,
you
man, what
can't
the
do
hell,
this.
bro?
Are you causing chaos? Hello, can you not hear me
Causing
trying to gain
chaos.
control, whoever's talking? Thank you. Right, as soon as everyone talks over the top of Arwin, he gets close to his mic, everything gets distorted, then 5 people talk. Just let him finish.
Yeah. First, you figure out the equator situation in this realm. It's all contained within the realm. You don't have to go to any side of what you think the container might be, right? You follow the orientation of what is in the realm. You figure out when you follow this derived on the celestial's equator, if you're actually going to move in a straight line, in an arc, or in a complete circle. You bring a gyroscope with you all the way, a physical one, to establish whether you are physically turning in a Euclidean sense or not as you follow the equator line. Then, when you've finished, then you put together the data of what you've gathered, what you've done. And then you can figure out, is there any, well, Euclidean complexities? Like, is this a complete circle we just walk within Euclidean space? Or isn't it? Because if it isn't, there's some weird loopy shit going on.
So,
Okay, people-
can I respond then?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're going to use the movement of the stars to determine a circle on the ground, and we're going to test to see if that circle is really a straight line using a gyroscope.
Yeah. Whether the equator virtual line is literally a circle or something else. Yes. Within the realm.
But by the definition, it's a circle.
Well, that's what the ballers say, but I'd like to see it actually physically tested.
So you want to map physicality by the placement of stars. They're the things that are going to be your straight line ruler, or they're the things that are going to map your equator. So how do you validate how you've transposed the stars to the ground to then give you anything of any real definition?
He doesn't.
That you can work with.
He doesn't.
I'm just going by what is present in the realm, the orientation of the celestials, this virtual equator, and what it is, what it actually is within space. Yeah, the derivative of it, right? But what is it? How is it laid out?
It isn't.
Physically, within the realm.
It isn't. There is no equator. The average point, the midpoint of the celestial movements throughout the seasons. There is no physical equator. There's no point on the ground. It isn't anything. It's derived from lights in the sky. And you're saying I'll derive this circle from the movement of the lights in the sky, average them, and then say the point on the ground that represents in physicality, of which there is none, I'm going to walk along it and see if it's a straight line. Well, it's a circle. You've just measured it from the movement, the circular apparent movement of the bodies in the sky. So this is nonsense. Why are we spending 25 minutes on this? I just don't get it. Me saying I don't want to talk about this when you talk about something really interesting, about how much containment we must have that you can logically infer. Instead, we spend 20 minutes on this crap.
It's not crap. It's a genuine exploit to do at some point.
Maybe one day.
We do have a new person that might want to talk. His name's Glitch. In fact.
Save us, Glitch, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, I have nothing specifically to contribute. I'm just listening at the moment.
What's your name? I can't see you. Well, you're not lighting up.
Uh,
Oh, yes, I've got you.
glitch effect. Okay.
Okay, I found you. Okay, well, we've got no other housekeeping questions to ask, but we've segued so far away from the actual gas pressure without a containment argument, although it wasn't specifically asked as a housekeeping question. Maybe I could just ask it. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Would a rectangular looping model count as a container?
It's the flurfament.
It's a little jab below my ribs by Adam. Thank you for that, Adam.
I was trying to link it at least. There is the point, Owen, that even within that model, what we were starting on before we got into the conceptual is there is a point where there has to be a meeting, isn't there? A joining. Even creates the containment, even if it's this, as described by you, it in of itself, it's forming a kind of containment, isn't it? It's a four-dimensional containment, but it still creates containment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Having said that, you still need a lid on the top.
Absolutely.
Or does it loop up? Yeah, because you can't have your on the other way.
Well, on the other hand, it could also be looping upward, and then you would literally have the top of our containment being the bottom of our realm. But yeah, that becomes a little remote, I know.
What does looping upward mean in relation to touching the ground? It's that for me, that's point number one. The containment is touching the ground. So where is the looping happening?
Well, not where it's touching the ground. What's the point of a loop if there's a barrier? You wouldn't need a loop.
We're discussing the looping still, rather than the profound containment.
Well, I would like to address the containment. Since we exist in three-dimensional space, I'm going to start a GoFundMe called Send a Flurfer to Space. And since you're already there, it'll just be Globers giving me money.
Yeah, well, space is space, right? That's why I say the irony of them saying that outer space, the sky vacuum, is called space. Because it's a space for gas to fill. Well, okay, you get past that and you take the logical inference that we must have containment. Well, while it's often pinned on us by globies who aren't challenging us right now, it's just us in our little echo chamber, as they like to say, discussing it amongst ourselves, going, okay, well, the containment must have some limitations then. Well, that is quite profound. It does make you kind of reflect on things that I decided to reflect on when I first came to this subject, you know, and discuss with my uncle, who's very, very religious, a preacher, and saying, you know, the way you're led to believe the world is, i.e. the space we have, is vast. We're a tiny little speck of dust in an infinitely expanding soup of nothingness. Well, you take the adverse when you say, well, there must be containment. We must be contained. So there's quite a limited space then, or a limited space. You know, it's infinite. No, it's finite. We've only got a certain amount of it. Well, suddenly doesn't that make you a bit more appreciative of the world that you're actually inhabiting? Because this is all there is.
I've seen a reaction where it's like somebody becomes actually sort of claustrophobic at that notion, thinking that, oh my God, I mean, what do you mean? It's enclosed. What do you mean we're trapped? Like, no, we're not trapped. Obviously, you can get in a plane and fly straight for like 15 hours. Like, obviously, it's pretty damn big. Not to the point where you're going to feel trapped. But for some reason, that psychologically affects them. They think, for some reason, it's more comfortable. It's like a warm blanket to know that you're a magical water ball flying around this infinite vacuum, as opposed to just being on a flat stationary plane that's just enclosed and just here. It's very weird psychologically. Because I've seen people think about that and get scared. Like, oh my God, that's scary.
When you say
that's it.
trapped,
That's
it means
what
that there is
true.
a higher intelligence that has trapped them. That's what bothers them.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
idea that there is a higher intelligence that's trapped them here.
Yeah.
The converse is a little bit from the baller's point of view. I don't see it as freedom. I certainly see it as trapped. I'd see it more as marooned. You can't get to another place in their model with the technology we ever have. You've got to break laws that they've set up to get there. So in their model, to me, it's more frightening. You are, let's say, marooned.
And then if even if
But
you
at the
wanted
same
to
at
get
the
to
same
another
time,
place, you have to travel through what they call the harshest, most insane environment to survive in to make it to another place. So how is that not feeling like you're trapped? I agree, Adam. It's like the opposite.
Whereas I feel
well,
safe.
let's address
I feel
what
like I've
well
been
let's
put
let's
here for a
address what the
reason.
situation.
Go on, Eli.
Let's address what the situation is, which is this is some type of containment contained system in which we live. Like that's just what it is. So there's one way to look at it, which is trap. There's another way to look at it, and that's like, you know, if you've ever taken care of anything like a reptile or something like this that needs certain things, like because you have made the environment in which it could live, but your house may not necessarily be a safe environment for that reptile or that rat or whatever pet you might have, pet gerbil or whatever, right? Like, so that containment is made for their survival.
Yeah, another way of looking at it is when we describe the containment and the system, the equilibrium, it is not, but moreover the dynamic system that is in beautiful harmony that we experience, it is ideal for us to be living in. You know, we have a beautiful world that exists in beautiful harmony. Now, yes, that will require containment to achieve that. But that doesn't make it a jail cell. It doesn't make it an aquarium that we've been stuffed in with something beyond that we're being kept away from necessarily. I'm not saying it isn't that either, I don't know. But by the same token, we do exist in a beautiful harmony. Nature is beautiful. The harmony we experience to be alive is beautiful. And I take a lot of solace in that, as opposed to fear the prison that people might envisage. The other thing is that Mark Sargent, I think it's in Flat Earth Clues Part 2, expresses the concern about this when he describes the dome and the containment. He says that people are naturally inquisitive. If you're a sheep, you'll try and find the perimeters of your fence, right? Well, that's no different if you're a person. You're going to want to find the limitations of your confinement, if there is one. People are just inquisitive. They want to know what the wall is. Where it touches down, people are going to want to know. They're going to want to see. They're going to want to touch, smell, and taste that limitation for whatever reason. Now, if that limitation's taken away from people's concern, then they're not going to be knowing that they need to concern themselves with looking for any limitation if it's just a looping sphere and you just find yourself back on yourself if you go around it in any direction. Well, that immediately eradicates any inquiry from anybody ever to look into what the constraints of our environment might be. What is our space? What's the space we inhabit? And we don't know. And space, as they've labelled it, they being the people who tell us that we've got a sky vacuum, is off limits to us. And the extremities, in terms of the flat Earth strawman we're led to believe by way of azimuthal equidistant projections, is apparently an ice wall that I certainly don't ascribe to. I have zero knowledge of what goes on beyond the limitations of what I already know. And what we're told on the maps. That's what we're given. That's all we've got. But it does still leave me in inspirational mode rather than despair when I think about the beautiful balance that we exist within. Anyway, I just want to mention Mark Sargent, actually, as I brought him up, because I was chatting to him about him losing his channel potentially. I don't know, haven't had an update on that. I don't know if it's actually been taken down, but he did have a few words in that regard, so I'm going to just pass those on now. He said, tell people to download whatever they want off his channel. So Mark Sargent's channel, if there's something you want to acquire from his channel, download it. You may not get the opportunity for much longer. Also, he wanted to tell people where he is, for if you want to find and keep up with Mark Sargent. So he's on BitChute. I don't know if it's Brighteon, and Rumble. So yeah, he's also said, I don't know if I should mention this, the ones that got him in trouble on YouTube are in a playlist called Rants and Articles, presumably on BitChute. So that was what Mark had to say about his current situation. So I just wanted to put out a shout, and I said, what can I do, if anything? And that was what he told me I could do. I point people in the direction of where they can find him in future, and say, if you do want any material off him, feel free to download it. So there you go. That's my little update on Mark Sargent. But yeah, bring us back on track. Mark said people would want to know where the wall was, where the edge is.
And what's the best
Well,
way
the
to
word
take away
trap-
that curiosity? Don't tell them there's a wall.
Yep.
The word trap, though, implies someone to trap you. I think that's what they're really scared of. I don't think they're scared of being in an enclosed system. They're scared of losing the power to believe that they're not.
Yeah, the world is within their control and only limited by their lifespan rather than anything else in the time frame of a heliocentric world. But I don't see it as trapped when I say this may be all there is. In other words, it's not a cage and there's something beyond it if this is all there is.
Well, no, I ain't saying you're thinking that way. I'm saying the people that describe it as feeling trapped, they're saying that because they're subconsciously realizing that you need someone to trap you if you're in a trap.
Right, and it's one of those scary things that I came across again when you first come to this subject. You quickly come to the conclusion that there's got to be a creator. I didn't like that. I'd already visited and then closed the door on the monsters in my closet, and I didn't want to reopen any of them. I'm like, well, if there's a creator, so someone already knows what's behind that door. That's a bit scary. I'll have to accept all these horrible things about myself, won't I? I have to deal with them. Now, a lot of people like to put those skeletons in their closet, close the door, and think nobody knows. And then you come to the realization that this might be all there is, and the negative connotations are trapped by an external force, is what you're saying. And therefore that's terrifying. Yeah, I can totally relate.
So if you take it a step further than that, and it's like, okay, so we're talking about the physically being put here, but at the same time, is life the way we experience it, is that all there is? Because what if there's some portion of this experience that I do have to answer for when I'm lifeless physically?
Well, I've gotten both reactions, right? I've gotten the what do you mean, like we're trapped? Gotten that reaction, and then I've got the other reaction, which is, if everything in the sky, appears to be going around us, and we seem to be in this special location, that mainstream science doesn't want us to really focus on, run away from that, like Edward Hubble said. And, that person, they came to they were like, well, that almost makes it seem like we're special. And I didn't say anything. I just looked at them and they were like, okay, that's very interesting. Because they weren't going in that direction of God or anything like that, but they were like, well, if that's what's going on, that means it's purpose. It was put there with purpose. I said, yep.
Yep, exactly. Well, although you say they weren't necessarily focusing on God, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Paula just because it's relevant. So Level Up in the chat, who's one of my moderators, says, answering to God is something I'm going to touch on in my next live stream. So I think it's next Sunday live stream. So check it out. Channel's called Level Up. But I think this stuff is, it touches on some profound subject matters and does really make you think. And it's nice. I remember having all of these things flash through my mind when I very first came to the subject. One of the things I braced against was the idea of a creator. I didn't want that to be the case, so I braced against it for the longest time. And it had to be really proven to me beyond any reasonable doubt for me to turn around and say, okay, there is a creator. This has started with intelligent design. This has been put here with a purpose, as you put it, Chocolate. There's no other way of coming to it. Go on, whoever that was.
I was going to say, when you say the word special, you have to be special to someone, So if we are special in this special Right. It's still
But
right there on the edge of your
the best
mind.
part was I didn't have to tell them that. They came to that conclusion just based off the description of how everything, like what it is, you know, that everything is revolving around us in the sky, and we need a containment to have gas pressure. And she sat and she was thinking like, wow, like that's, if everything is going around us, that means like we have to be special somehow. And she walked away kind of like with that in her brain. And then the next day she came in and she was just like, you know, I've been thinking about that, I've been looking into it. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
You know, before Flat Earth was ever even talked about, I can remember that always being a question. Like, you know, because a lot of the atheists or whoever out there, they're always quick to say, well, we're not special. You're just a clump of, you know, processes, and once you're dead, that's it.
Just a complicated rock.
Yep.
Basically. You know, but but they always had arguments where there was someone saying, well, you know, we're not special, and someone saying, yeah, we are. And then the argument against it would be this evolutionary heliocentric model. That's all I have ever turned to refute saying that I was special. Honestly, that's the only time the heliocentric model ever came up in my life. And I have used it to refute the creator and creation.
Well, let me assure you, Eli, you are indeed a very, very special snowflake.
Even the word complicated, though, who are you complicated to? If you're a complicated rock, then who are you complicated to? You know?
You're complicated to the people that the rock is going to become.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, to say you're a complicated rock, well, you know, that doesn't make sense.
Just in case people don't realise who you're referencing when you say complicated rock, can you just give a bit of context, Chocolate or Father of a Stolen Child?
Yes, that would be NASA astrophysicist Dr. Michelle Thaler, who says that we are complicated rocks, that if you're on a mountainside and you see a rock, that's your cousin.
Yep.
And people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw their cousins.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. But a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!